How do's it? Where goes it? This is your brother Zun Forever Family. SRxun S, if you'd like to keep it all official. And I just thought I would try something a little bit different for the intro. But ultimately, regardless of how I introduce myself, I always want to keep looking forward to that safe haven in the clouds. You ever work so hard for so long that once you got off and got home and saw that couch or that sofa or that lazy boy and just plop down into it, get the feeling of, man, this is the best feeling to be able to rest those weary bones. I've even gone as far a few times to say a good thank you to whoever invented the couch or sofa or lazy boy, to have the foresight to dream of and bring to fruition such a wonder of science, something that could bring such relief at just the right time. Now, this is just an exaggerated analogy or definition. Welcome again to the wonderful world of this beautiful mind, if I do say so myself, which I am. But all this really is kind of what led me to the place in the treatment today, specifically chapter 10, verses 33 to 36, where it talks about God going before his people 3 days' journey to find them the place of rest. In this life, God has perfectly designed it to include labor. My opinion was that is actually the curse that was put upon mankind. Man was to labor in the field, labor for what he wants, and woman was to experience labor in childbirth. And while these things on the front end are excruciating, they are unwelcome, if I do say so myself, in the moment. On the back end, there's great reward, great sense of accomplishment. You ever been really grinding at something, and especially in those moments when it doesn't seem like what you're working towards is gonna happen, but then you actually get what you've been working for? Man, the payoff sometimes far exceeds what it took to get there. And so this, just wonderful word of God really spoke to that for me. And then there's so many parallels. He went 3 days before. 35 and 36, it speaks of Moses, talking about God arising and God returning. And I couldn't help but think forward in the fulfillment of all this, where God, made his face known went into the grave, arose 3 days, the first to rise, the first of the brethren. Then he came amongst his people, went to prepare this place of rest for us, and promised to return. All of this just, in so many ways renewed my confidence, gave me like what they call, that second wind. Sometimes for me it gets most tiresome right before it's quote unquote break time. So like towards the end of the day when you've been working, things start to drag and you're like, man, I'm gonna stop. And I tend to do that. I tend to quit right before it's time to get off. It's quitting time, so to say. But what keeps me going a lot of times is just thinking about, what, if I just give it a few more minutes, it's only about an hour left, and then I think ahead to what I'll be doing once I get off, to that lazy boy, to that chair, to that ice cold beverage, to a warm shower, to a nice bed, that place of rest. That tends to give me that extra kick, that boost to push on through. And so the idea of this share 3 days before really is a reminder to me to keep my eyes fixed on the horizon, to where the clouds are. Because beyond that is the place of rest. And it's a rest like I've never, ever experienced, can imagine, hope for. But it's gonna be so much more. And that gives me the little boost, because it won't be long until it's time to go home. Caption this. Sir.